back into 2008.
The 2007 to 2008 financial crisis was the most severe worldwide economic crisis since the 1929 Wall Street crash that began the Great Depression.
We were like, okay, we'll just rent it out because the market's funky.
How do you sell properties if you've never purchased a property?
You gotta get up and you gotta show up and you gotta dress up.
Why did they suddenly have this trust and faith with you?
Showed up every day in a suit to Keller Williams as if I was selling $1 million home. That was my mindset.
Welcome to the season finale of The Balanced Broker. Today we have a very special guest with us. She's a wonderful friend and she's also a Compass agent, a fellow Compass agent, and I would like to take a little bit of credit for that.
I'm gonna go ahead and take credit for that, actually.
Why? Well, you know, we can both take credit for that. We had to work hard to get her to
We had
come
to work
over
really hard to get her to come over
to our side.
We have Linda Awad here with us. I've been waiting to bring her on the show. This is the season finale, so we thought we'd sprinkle a little something on top and really give you guys a nice little treat. We're going to talk about balance, work-life balance, about the secrets to being very successful in social media, the importance of having differentiators. It is going to be very exciting, very informative, and we are so honored to have you here, Linda. Thanks for finally agreeing to be on the show. Jeez.
Stop being so dramatic.
So you have a, for those who don't know you, but most people who know us know you because you're always kind of like, it's like you're an unofficial niche
Everyone
team member,
asked
right?
me if you're a part of our team.
Yes,
but
and we're
you are a part of our team. I mean, just because you're not on niche per se, does not mean that we do not work together, that we do not bounce ideas off of one another, that we don't go to the office meetings together.
We don't call each other in crisis and ask each other for advice.
Yes,
right?
so we do work together.
I mean, y'all are my team. I feel like no matter what brokerage you're with, we have our colleagues, our circle. And that's the nice thing about it. It doesn't matter which brokerage you're with. I mean, we're on the same brokerage, thankfully, now.
Yeah.
But, it doesn't matter. I have other colleagues in different brokerages, and I feel like we're on a team. That's the nice thing about the business is we're not in competition with each other. We're in collaboration with each other, which is so amazing.
Yeah. And I think that's something that that changes when you get to a certain caliber of practicing real estate.
Yeah.
When you're doing it as a true professional, somebody who wants to have the best interests for their clients at heart and who really wants to continuously, improve and be extremely successful, is they realize that you are the, 5 agents who you hang out with, who you surround yourself with, because success, kind of breeds success. And so,
and we collaborate with no ego. We
Exactly.
truly do.
One of the principles at Compass.
Yes, one of the Compass principles that I feel like the values that align with ours. I mean, how many open houses or how many events do we have? We support one another. We make sure that we take our social media crew. We do videos for one another. We repost each other's listings.
Yes, we can always count on Linda to be there for us.
And she's always there for us. The one time you had open house and I couldn't be there because of a school conflict, I called Sarah. I'm like, what are we going to do?
I was like, don't worry, I'll represent. Linda will understand. And then I walked in and she was like, where is she? Oh, hell no. I go to all of her open houses. Where is that bitch?
I know. But
Beautiful
it's
property,
good.
by the way. Is that under contract yet?
It was, and it fell out.
Oh, is it?
Full price cash offer.
No
What?
way. Yeah.
But they started playing games, so I was like, just terminate.
Yeah. Especially early on, just like get it done. Don't even play around.
Exactly.
What a funky market we're in.
It sucks. I'm sorry. I don't even know what to say.
We might as well just talk about it right now.
Yeah,
because
let's just talk about it. The market is crazy.
I think a lot of agents, I feel like we have an audience of entrepreneurs and, our clients, but we also have an audience of like either younger agents or our peers who are like, everybody is kind of like, I'm either really slow right now or very listing heavy, or where are the buyers? And I feel like, we should speak to that and let people know.
I miss my buyers.
You miss your buyers, right?
Yeah, I miss your buyers because I have like 1 million listings and none of them are moving.
Yeah, I'm at the point where I'm like,
Hard.
I can count my buyers on one hand. Usually I can run around multiple buyers and then a few listings out. I'm heavy listing. Slow
on the buyers. And you are a primarily buyer's agent. You do get listings and as a product of your buyer pool, right? Yes. But I know for a fact that I
enjoy buyers more.
You like showing houses.
Yeah, but I think next year I'm going to be diving more into listing side And that way, you know, my other team member can dodge into the buying side. So,
But it's good to know. It's good to know that, you know, we're not alone, and that's one thing that we really lean on each other for. Is like, hey, this is the situation I'm in right now. Are you feeling my pain right now? And so, yeah, we've got listings. We're very listing heavy, and we don't have a ton of buyers right now. And I think that that's, you know, obviously interest rates have been a little
impacted
higher.
it. The local, you know, I mean, the elections, there's, you know, just the local kind of economy in Texas has.
I really think that we are going to have a very strong market in January, though. I'm preparing myself. Like, I'm trying to mentally say, relax, Linda, enjoy the time off, because in January, you're going to go like this. And everybody was slow in the beginning of the year. Why I did this. Like, I did from January to May, I did that the same amount of volume I did all last year.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I'll take the rest of the year off. But
So do you think it's seasonality, January to May, and you feel like in the beginning of?
I think it's going to do the same thing it did this year.
Yeah.
Because I think our season was over in that time. January to May, I feel like, and then once June and July hit, it was a different story.
I don't know. I don't look at real estate the way I used to when it comes to seasons. I really don't. I've had, if I go back in history or historically over the last 4 years, you know, I had one of the biggest months. It's November. I've had one of my biggest months all year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it really does not matter. It's all about location, having that one buyer.
It's about the listing.
It's about the listing that you have and the, you know, the location.
But if you look, and I was actually talking to somebody about this the other day. I mean, you do look historically. There is market seasonality. That is a real thing. It might be different for the individual, right? Like for you, maybe you just so happen in November to have like these really bomb ass listings that are, you know, in Frisco in the heart of Plano that are like amazing, and so you get it sold right away. But just like, you know, in total as a whole, usually during the holiday seasons is when things kind of start. People are just kind of sitting at home. They're trying to families and they're kicking back. But I've had very busy Decembers.
Yes, like I feel like this December for some reason might be busy. I just have a feeling.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean,
some people prey on the seasonality too.
Yeah,
some people are like, I'm gonna buy, just like you buy cars, right? When it's the end of the year.
Yeah.
It's like
it's
I'm gonna get a deal.
This house has been listed for a while. Let me go in, which is the case on the house on the Hills of Kingswood that closing on today.
Yay.
With Sarah's help, of course.
Yeah.
Basically,
fund.
It's just closed. You know, it's one of those things where they had multiple offers that were lowball offers in the beginning of the year, 177 days on the market, and finally here we came. We came in with a lower offer, and because it's the end of the year and he's done and doesn't want to go into 2025 with this listing, he was like, okay, time to let it go.
So buyers wise, you've been a little bit slower, but in the beginning of the year, you're like, so you feel like 2025 is going to be good.
I think so.
That's what everybody has.
Inshallah.
Hoping.
Yeah.
Hoping.
Inshallah. So
I'm hoping. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about your story, because I don't even know your whole entire story. But how long have you been in real estate? What were you doing before that? And you've got 4 daughters, mashallah.
yeah.
Tell us about them. They're so beautiful. I love.
So I am busy across the board. I have my oldest daughter is her second year in college. And then my second one is in high school. My third one is in junior high. And my fourth one is in elementary.
Oh, wow.
My little baby.
Yeah. Yeah, she's not so little, 9 going on 21.
So their daughters are best friends, everyone. They're so cute.
Alia and Noura.
Alia and Noura.
Yeah.
They can have their own line.
Yeah.
Doesn't that sound
We
like
should
a
have them
pretty
on a
like
podcast.
Let's table that. That's a good one. We'll come back
Alia
to that.
and Noura, right? They can do something cute. Anyways, continue.
And so I actually started off in the loan business. I was a loan officer for a few years back in Chicago, where I married my husband, and we lived there for 10 years and decided to reroute ourselves and come back over here and start all over again.
Because you grew up here.
Because I grew up here. And then also Chicago got a little funky, just started, you know, he was self-employed and had businesses in some rough areas, got robbed. And I was just like, I was pregnant with my third one. And I was like, we just got to go, you know, we got to start all over again, which was really hard. I give it up to him, came over here, and then was living at my dad's house and found out I got pregnant with my fourth daughter. And I was like in tears, and I'm like, what the heck is this? You know? So
this was like 10 years ago.
9 years ago. Yeah. 10 years ago. Yeah. And ended up saying, you know what, there's a little bit of a pause on my life. I knew I wanted to get into real estate. And I did not like the loan process. I hated it. I never connected with my clients. I feel like I'm where I'm at because I'm a people person. I like to be with my clients, hang out with them. When you're a loan officer, you barely show up to a closing table. It's always numbers and how much money you need to pay them, so. And then so fast forward that Nuda, my little one, came 3. And then I was like to my husband, I'm like, hey, listen, I want to go to real estate school. I want to do this. And he's like, I support you 100%. So my brother is a commercial broker, and that's all they do is commercial. So residential was not really in my family. And mind you, I have 100 first cousins here in Dallas.
Huge family.
Huge family.
And you guys are Palestinian.
And we're Palestinian. Yeah. So it was like, okay, you know what? Let me do this. And I'm thinking I'm going to get in the business and my family's going to support me immediately. And hey, I'm making phone calls. Who needs to sell? Who needs to buy? They had to watch me get a little successful to start trusting me. And I think a year into the business, I got my first call from one of my cousins. Well, actually, I got my first listing from one of my cousins. And then my other cousin called me and he was like, hey, I'm ready to buy almost $1 million house. And I'm like, on the other side of the phone, like my stomach is in knots. And I'm like, how do I even find $1 million house?
Yeah, because now this is
This is in 2020.
Yeah. Okay. So and it's at $1 million house in 2020 is
2019 actually. This was
like
right before
like a $2 million.
I started in 2018. Yeah.
Depending on where and what, but yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, let's do this. So every day he tells me, I swear to God, I walk around my house so blessed that you actually pushed him to buy that house. I'm like, now you're grateful. Do you want to sell it? It's got about $300,000 worth of equity in it.
Yeah.
And so I'm grateful. I'm grateful to be where I'm at in this business, where my family can pick up the phone and say, Linda, you're the go-to person. There's a bunch of licensed people, but we trust you because you do this every day in your sleep and you're passionate about it. It reflects on me within 5 minutes of somebody meeting me.
Why do you think that is? That it took them a while to come to you, but why did they suddenly have this trust and faith with you? Personal relationship aside, I don't know, what the personal relationship, like you said, you've got 100 cousins, right? And so they saw the hustle. Where did they see the hustle?
Online, on social media.
Social media.
Yeah.
Okay. The family had to watch you on social media.
Social media.
Those awards, and I started getting those KW awards, and I was in the KW office in Plano. It wasn't very hard to be in the top 25. I mean, I know everybody's like, give yourself some credit. There's 400 agents in there, but most of them are not active, like just licensed agents that have their license in the office and they're not producing. So I was always in the top 25. I got bored of being there.
But you have a 3-year-old daughter at this point, right? The one you started.
Yes.
Okay. So you've got a baby girl at home and your other daughters are still pretty
3
young.
other kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And still pretty young.
Yeah.
So
I used to take Nuda with me to showings. I used to take her to preschool for those 3 hours. And then I used to take her with me to showings. My clients loved her. I even have videos of her saying, we would walk in houses and this is why I won't take her because she still will do it till today. And she'd be like, this smells so bad. I'm like,
kids say the darndest things. Huh?
So she would just like tell the truth. And they were like, let's bring the insightful
let's bring
one.
this little one. And
That's
I'm like,
so funny.
be quiet. I'm not trying to sell them something ugly, but she's just like completely
Blood.
What?
That
That's
is
so
so funny. She's like, what is this smell?
Yeah.
Or, ew, this house is ugly.
Yeah. So, but rewinding back a little bit. Yeah. So she was 3 and I remember like finishing my real estate license in 2 months. And then, I went at it immediately, and I remember my first lead that I had, I showed up every day in a suit to Keller Williams. And I went to the office every day as if I was selling $1 million home. That was my mindset. And I didn't care. I was around high producers. They barely ever talked to me in the office. And I'm like, hey, how are you? But now at award events, it's like, they're trying to find me. Hey, how are you?
Yeah. So you dressed the part.
It's a mindset thing. You got to get up and you got to show up and you got to dress up. And because I was there every day, my really good colleague, one of my best friends in the real estate field, Tanisha, was like, here, I don't have time for this. That girl was closing 50 deals a year on her own. No team. That in the $300,000 to $400,000 price point.
Yeah.
Oh, those are so hard too.
50 deals, and she's running around this little, y'all met her, 5'2". And she's like, here, there's a deal. This guy wants to find a house and here's the deal. And I was like, I don't know how to do this. And she turns around and I see her walking the hallway. I still tell today, I tell her the story. And she's like, you'll figure it out. And I go to meet with him and he's like very shocked that, first of all, he met a Tanisha, not a Linda. So Tanisha's not Vietnamese, right? Like it's not, you can clearly tell. And I get there and he's like, I only work with my community. And I was like, well, give me a shot. Like, I go to him, tell me what you want, tell me what it is that you, and this guy is always the first person. I ended up closing him.
Wait, what was Tanisha? Where was she from?
Oh, she was Black.
She's Black?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's thinking, but he reached out to her.
Yeah.
She passed me the lead.
Yeah. And then this hijabi shows up out of.
And he's just like, and I don't know if it was my height or what it was, but he was just like, yeah, I don't think you're going to understand what I need. And I'm like, we're the same thing. We're all cultural. Like, tell me what it is that you're looking for. And I will service you.
How tall are you?
5'11".
She's a supermodel.
So
I'm always.
Fast forward, he bought a house in the colony. He is my first client to wish me happy Mother's Day. He is my first client to wish me happy birthday. He is an amazing client till today. He'll never show up to my client appreciation parties. I don't know why, but maybe it's just not so many of his community there. But he was like, but I was like, did you change your mindset about working with just your community? He's like, yes, Linda. He's like, you come to my house, I feed you very good food. I was like, okay.
That's so sweet. So she was just like, you'll figure it out. And then just.
Yeah. And I did. She said, you know what? I know you ask the questions. And that's the thing about me is I'm not afraid to ask questions. Y'all know that.
Yeah. A million. I'm like, the answer to this question. You just
But I don't understand. What should I do? Yeah, I know. Sometimes you just need to hear yourself, talk it out,
So she's like, you're going to figure this out. So, but it was because you you were there every day in the office, dressed to the nines, ready to go.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm going to throw her a bone. And that was your first.
So that was my first deal. And then after that, I got a listing and it was my cousin's house and I was against another agent. And I was like to him, please give me the listing.
Yeah.
I will do everything that I can to sell this. It was a $250-something thousand listing. And he was like, I don't know. You're new to this, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, look, I even took my brother with me. I'm like, I know he's doing commercial, but I was like, I need a little.
Yeah.
I need to get this listing. Like I can't. And that's another bad part about me. And good is losing to me is hard. And I don't allow myself to just say it's not for me. And I even had a listing that I didn't get. And one of our colleagues got it.
She called me to tell me about it.
Yeah.
And you were just so frustrated.
You take it personal.
Yeah, it was actually one of our colleagues, Nina Benet. She got the listing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's like, Linda, thankfully, she was, we were the out of the 5 agents she interviewed, we were the top 2. But then Nina ended up being the listing.
Yeah.
And I watched the listing and then it canceled after 4 days. I was like, why did it cancel? And so I called her. I was like, I have to call you and see why didn't you get the listing? She's like, let me tell you, I saved your life.
Oh my God.
Like, I've never in 14 years canceled a listing. I had to cancel this listing.
Yeah.
And now it's with another Compass agent. God bless her soul. So
yeah. Yeah.
But
some people are just difficult. I mean, we have the luxury now
to say no.
Yeah.
To pick and choose our clients, and that takes a lot.
Yeah. And confidence too. I feel like now I'm okay with saying we're just not meant to work with each other.
Right.
But I still need to work on that because it's just my hustle part in a sense of, no, Linda, you need to.
What you mentioned, what did Tanisha tell you that
not everybody has the same appetite.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not everybody's as hungry.
Yeah.
And it has, so,
and you're very aggressive. Like I see you do take it really hard on yourself. The numbers are very important to you. You want to be at the top.
I do. That's why I left Keller Williams. I was always at the top and I needed to be around bigger competitors. Like I want to be around.
You want to be a small fish
in a big pond. I mean, it's motivating. Yeah. No, I send Sarah a snapshot of another Compass broker that works within our company. I was like, this is what he did this month.
Yeah.
And Sarah the whole team was like, damn, like it's literally what we did.
Well, that's why I like being at Compass is because of
y'all keep me on my toes. Yeah.
You can keep trying. I mean, no matter what, somebody is doing way more than what we're doing. Yeah. There's a long ladder,
I told Rico today, I was like, we were talking about you before you came in. I go, this woman's running circles around me this year and I'm working 10 times as hard. Like, I respect your hustle so much. It's really like, we know what it takes You
It's
know?
hard. It's hard.
And
my
then-
day in my life is really hard.
And then knowing, and we make it look easy. But one thing about you, I mean, you fed me now like what, 3 times? I think I've been to your house for dinner.
Yeah.
And every time I walk in and I see the
You
homely
did give
side,
me the, I think you made me amjadara once. That was really good. Okay.
but literally when I walk into her house, which by the way, her house is fabulous.
I know. We have to do a podcast
I had a
there.
little bit
Wait a minute. Let's rewind. How did we meet?
at a house that Sarah and I
So I went to go
renovated.
videotape this house, and you know, some of them says like agent to meet, right? But this house was like stunning, Ditmar.
Oh, Ditmore. Oh, yeah.
And I was in the office.
And I walked in and I was like, yeah, and I didn't want to tell her I'm videotaping because some agents are just like, why are you mad? Because I want to videotape your listing and promote your dang listing because you don't do the job.
Saying videotape is hilarious.
Okay, video, whatever.
Videotape?
Sure, yeah, we have a videotape. Like when do we
Like a
have video?
camcorder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So what is it called? What is it called?
It's called filming.
Filming,
recording.
recording. Okay.
But videotape, that is hilarious. Like
Mr.
saying I was
Bob.
listening to the cassette in the car. Who has a cassette? We don't even have CDs.
And the thing is, I'm like, oh, videotape.
Yeah, she's like, yeah.
So I walk in and I have my videographer with me, and then I just hear this girl, she's speaking Arabic, and I'm like, I put my head back in there, I'm like, hi, you speak Arabic too? She's like, بس دقيقة. That means just wait a second. And then I'm like, she's gonna let us film. I was telling my videographer, I was like, I don't know. And then I was like, can I film? She's like, girl, film, market it, sell it, do what you need. And I love agents like that.
I'm
So
like, just tag me.
Then I seen the contractor there, Edgar.
Yeah.
And I was like, you did this house? He's like, yeah. I was like, you're doing my house exactly like this one day. And I seriously,
Yeah. The house was
4 months later,
incredible.
Yeah.
I bought a house and I did the same exact.
She called me up.
I
and
remember
she
when you
was-
were buying that
Yeah,
house.
she called me up. She's like, I need you to.
And I didn't even know her. I was like, I knew her for like a month. I was like, but if we clicked, like immediately, I was like, I need you to walk this house. And then my husband found the house and I was like, I don't want this house. It's disgusting. And he was like, just listen to me. And I was like, I'm the agent. You're not going to convince me to buy this house. It is gross. Okay. Like this guy's been living here for 22 years. He's probably never turned on his vinyl. And the wall smell, the drywall smells. I think there's termites in it. So there was termites in it because thankfully we demoed the walls. So we bought the house. And then we ended up demoing the walls because I was like, I still feel like the food smell is in the house.
I love how you took a builder grade home and it feels like a home out of AD, like Architectural Digest.
It's
It
a
is
custom.
absolutely beautiful. You introduced us to Tim Clement, who did the design. You invested in the design, but going through that process of a full renovation with termites and all that, and you're still doing bits and pieces of the house. You're doing the driveway soon and everything. That having those firsthand experiences with like construction, very important. And it really helps you in real estate, right? Because you know what it's like. You can sell a vision when somebody finds something, and you can tell them, hey, this is what it can be. Look at what I was able to do.
And I know the cost.
You know the cost of things. You
And I know the
understand the process of
contractors.
construction. But you also mentioned that you went through a rough time, and this was this during like the subprime market crash? You said that you had to short sell.
Yes. Yes. So going fast forward to, rewind all the way back into 2008, the market crashed, right? It actually crashed. And we were living in Chicago, and this is when we decided to move here. And we just had everything lined up. We were ready to move. And then I was like, okay, that's fine. We could rent out our home, right? And I wasn't a realtor at that time. Didn't ask the HOA questions. My realtor didn't tell me and inform me what were the rules and regulations, anything like that. We'd been living in that house for 10 years. And we bought that house when I was 21 years old. That was our first house. And we were like, okay, we'll just rent it out because the market's funky. We're $100,000 down.
Yeah.
And so my husband's like, okay, let's put it for rent. So we put it for rent. I started getting all these violations from the HOA. And they're like, you can't rent out your house. And I was like, well, what do we do? I need to move. My husband already moved and I need to follow him. And I have 3 little kids that I need to take with me at that time. And then they were like, I'm sorry. So I rented it out behind their back.
Yeah.
The rebel in me. I put a tenant inside and it was a complete disaster. Like she didn't pay for like months and lied to me, told me her husband had cancer or whatever. And yeah, it was just very bad. And then actually she kept doing all this loud music. So it's not like it was a quiet tenant. It was one that actually put me out. Then they started finding me hard. Like, you violated everything. Now you have a tenant inside. You need to evict that tenant. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. So I called the realtor and I was like, hey, what do I do? She's like, your numbers don't match. You know, you bought this for $260. It's worth like maybe $180, maybe. And you either can, you can short sale it and come with the difference of money to closing, or we can foreclose it. I mean, those are two chances. And I was like, but my credit score is like a 750.
Yeah.
And I always protected my credit score.
You were in the business, so you understood the value of having good credit.
Me being a loan officer in my house and having to short sale.
Yeah.
And then going from a 720 to a 520 or 540 was
really hard.
It's devastating.
Disaster for me. It was and then I didn't understand
really
at that
hurts your
time.
ego.
It does.
It really hurts your self-esteem.
And we had to camp. So we came here, we restarted over. I had a 500 credit score.
Yeah.
My husband was trying to get his feet wet. Then I got pregnant.
Yeah. With number 4.
Yeah, with number 4. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So, we plan, but God is the best of planners. That's what I knew. That's what we always know, right? And we just need to trust the process. So I was like, okay, one day, right? So we didn't buy our dream home when we came here. And we bought a little 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath.
But my point is like, these are humbling experiences.
They are. And I can be relatable to people. That's why I feel like people need to approach us, because we've been there.
Right.
Whether it's been financially, whether it's been credit score wise, whether it's been divorce, whether it's been.
There are a lot of people, there are a lot of agents, who have no experience. They've never owned a property in their life, or, they've never undergone any kind of, how do you sell properties if you've never purchased a property? That's a tough, you know what I mean?
And I know a lot of agents are going to hate me for this, and I'm sorry to say, but I personally need the agent to have been in my shoes in order for them to, even if you're purchasing I don't even know, like a custom build home, I would want to ask those questions. Have you done a custom build before? What is that like? What should I look for? And even if I haven't had the exact experience of building an $8 million house, let's just say, for example, I wouldn't be scared to be like, hey, Nadia, come along.
Yeah.
For the journey.
What you've done before. You've called me on things that you're like, you know what, you've done commercial.
Like if I'm building, I've never built a multi-unit, but I'll figure it out with the right resources. I want to be involved because I want to learn.
Right.
That to me is worth more than the actual paycheck. Because once I learn it, then I can apply it, and then I can start making the money. But you can't just not learn something and jump into it and then expect the paycheck to come.
Yeah. Having gone through it before, like, purchasing a property, going through the construction experience, but also being in a situation where you have, children and a 520 FICO score, and you've lost everything. And we'll have clients, my favorite, most rewarding clients are clients who are like, I don't think that I can, but I really need to. What can I do?
Exactly. The ones that actually come out and.
Yes. And it's like when you have that empathy and you're like, I have been there. I've been there. We got a phone call today, where this, we'll call her a client, is basically like, I am in a pickle and I need to close this deal. And this just came back on my credit report and I'm going to lose. I'm going to lose so bad. What do I do?
I don't want to lose my earnest money.
Yes.
I don't want to make the loan.
So we went through this very creative but very quick process, because we've been there to figure out how to get around it. And I think that having that experience and also having empathy is like extremely important. You do need to look for an agent who has kind of like been there, done that.
Having an agent that's plugged in whatever you need. And my clients nickname me the plug.
That's a cute one.
The plug?
That's adorable.
That is so cute.
I want a nickname.
Yeah, like you want a Crate and Barrel discount, I got you.
Yeah.
You want you need a doctor, and obviously I have a pool of a whole bunch of doctors.
Yeah.
But I always tell them, don't ever tell me if you need anything. I'm like, I don't ever need you, and don't ever ask me.
It's so funny because Bo said the same thing. He was on the show on the last episode, and he was talking about how he wants to be that resource for his clients. He wants to be the plug, right? He wants to be if anybody needs anything, if they need a landscaper, and I think that is really what all of us kind of have in common. Is like, if I don't have it, I know you've got it.
Like, I'm offended when my clients do things and don't ask.
Yes.
Like, one of my clients just bought a flip because he bought a house from me, but then he bought this flip because some girl came to his store and said, I have a good flip for you. It's a Farmer's Branch, $275. It's worth $425. Guess what? He gave it to, it went on the market, it didn't sell. So he pulled it from her and then he called me. He's like, hey, I need you to sell this property. Where'd you get it from? It needs, there's cast iron plumbing at $400,000 and he didn't know he needed to do the plumbing. The roof is garbage. So he needs to spend another $30,000 at a $400,000 price point. You have to understand that house needs to be crystal clear because they don't have the money to come in and do those repairs.
Right.
Even if you already set at $375,000, the buyers at $375,000 are still not going to be able to come in and do the repairs. So you're going to need to do the repairs.
Yeah.
Well, can we push the price up? I'm not going to be responsible for this other agent, whatever she did, because she said it was a good flip, you know, and he's like, well, I didn't know anything about the plumbing. I didn't know anything about the roof.
But you're right. You get offended. You're like, you did that without me?
No, why didn't you call me?
You're calling me now?
If it was a good deal, I would have told you to take it.
Yeah.
And listen.
I'm going to look out for your best interest.
Even if you're going to make money on it, just ask me for my opinion on something.
Just exactly.
Just
Or even
ask
if you
me.
already like, so I have a client, a similar situation where they're like, okay, this guy found this and, you know, they're kind of a team where they do construction and the wife lifts it and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, that's fine, but now you can't sell this property. Just ask me. You know what I mean? Just you're my,
I want to be
we've
approachable.
done business before. Like, it's okay. I'm not going to get like I'm not going to be like, oh, I hate you because you're not doing the deal with me. I would appreciate it more if you asked for my advice and my input and still had to go that direction.
Right.
Rather than you not ask me at all, you know, because you might have to ask me when it's not selling.
You because they know that you know that much, and it's almost
They
like
want to hear yeses.
Yeah, they only want to hear yeses, and if they come to you, they might get a no. So they're gonna keep going in that direction. But I'm speaking of clients that might say no. You've had some really interesting experiences with some of your clients.
Oh, yeah.
Have been told no, even after you rendered services, and have had a real hard time dealing with clients who not just don't want to listen, but who just can't see past maybe the color of your skin or maybe the hijab or
Yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit about your experiences other than complicated clients that don't listen?
So overall,
we are the other token Muslim girls in the office, but we could be Latina, or we could be Indian, we could be anything because we don't have anything on us except for some Arabic writing every once in a while that will indicate that we are Middle Eastern, descent or West Indian descent. You walk in.
So, I mean, I'm only girl with the scarf. I am. I stick out like a sore thumb. And I'm perfectly okay with that. I mean, it is what it is. At the end of the day, I will say that experience 2 years ago is when I first joined Compass. And it was like, it got to the point where Robert Refkin knew my name. And I was barely in the damn office. It was embarrassing. Like, I went to the retreat and I was like, and he's like, I already know who you are. I'm like, okay. But so long story short, I had this couple reach out to me as a referral through another client of mine, which has referred me 5 clients. God bless that family. Like, and they've done 4 transactions with me and sent me like 3 or 4 clients in the midst of 4 years. I mean, it's crazy. They just messaged me. They're like, hey, we're thinking we're moving to Prosper. I'm like, you just bought your house. So like, settle down, like simmer down a little bit. Well, our kid might go to school. I'm like, he's a newborn. Like,
you have to think about that.
So I want my clients to be profitable. Obviously, I love the listing, but it's a beautiful house. It's a beautiful listing, but they need to wait a little bit, especially in Aubrey. And so they referred me a client, and I showed them houses for 3 months. We were in Garland and Rowlett, and it was a price point of $300 to $325. Difficult price point, right? Here in Dallas. And showed them houses. We even tried to negotiate on one, I believe, something that sense. And then I didn't hear from them for like a week. And then I reached out to my client. I was like, hey, did you hear from, so-and-so? And he goes to me, oh, let me check up on him. Calls me back. He's like, hey, they went under contract on a new build. I'm like, what?
It's like a knife in your heart when that happens.
And I'm like, where?
Yeah.
Because they were looking in Garland and Rowlett, and in that price point, it's not available. Or else I love doing new builds. We don't have to write the contract. Okay? Like, I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, and so I called her, and then she answered the phone, and I was like, hey, you went under contract on a new build? She goes, yeah. My parents found the house. I'm like, where? She's like, in Royce City. And I was like, oh, okay. Who's the sales rep? She tells me sales rep. I have a very strong relationship with my new build partners. I call them my business partners. I'm like, you guys are my partners.
Yeah.
Okay. Without us, you're not going to make money, and I'm not going to make any money. So we are a partnership, right? And I treat my new build partners like as if were a team at the end of the day. Like there's one new build partner. I sold 14 homes in 1 year.
Yeah, I remember, yeah.
In 2022. Like he goes, you made $160,000. I was like, I made it and you made it, okay? So be quiet.
Yeah.
And now he's giving $20,000 bonuses. I was like, where were those at? So
times have changed.
Where were the?
no, I know, right? So, but and then so I called the new build rep, and then she's like, yeah, well, we'll put you on the contract, which they don't ever do. And she was like, as long as your clients are okay with it, I was like, yeah, I have a buyer's rep agreement, but because I just left my previous brokerage and I was going over to Compass, my buyer's rep agreement was with my previous brokerage, but it was still valid, the date. And then I was like, the date was still valid.
They signed the contract while you were still with the previous brokerage you had in.
They signed my buyer's rep agreement with my previous
That's what I'm saying,
brokerage, yes. And so I was like, okay, yeah, I didn't worry about the buyer's rep agreement. I'm like, these guys are cool. We'll go under contract, whatever. So I put my name on the contract, then our brokerage gets an email from the parents the next day and says, we don't feel like that this girl had anything to do with this new build. We want her off the contract. David Weekley was paying me 5%, okay? And I was like, it was $310,000 or something. Brian guys stepped in, our manager in Compass, and he goes, okay, listen, she's been showing your kids houses for the past 3 months. Let her have her 3% because of all the time. And I spent 3 weekdays a week in the evenings with these guys running around. I remember Nuda coming to my door and saying, she was like 4 years old. And she goes, Mama, please don't go to work. Please, you go to work all the time. And I'll never forget that day. And I drove off and I was like, it's okay. I'm doing this for my family.
Yeah.
To know that these people did this to my family.
Yeah.
I was going to fight. I was like, I'm going to fight because, and it was very, very, had that buyer's rep agreement been connected to our brokerage, I would have won this fight. But I was like, I had no fight up. At the end of the day, the representation was a different.
But why?
Why did they not?
Going back, why? The parents saw my image and who I was. And I looked him up on Facebook. I mean, he complete.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
just the look doesn't, it probably wouldn't be somebody that would approach me. The kids, they're not like that.
Yeah.
But the parents, when I got in the parents' hands, it's it became a different situation. So
you were discriminated against because of your Muslim
and I knew
identity.
that, but I didn't want to say that out loud.
Yes.
So Brian was like to me, are you okay if we approach him and say, we'll give them the 2% for their finder's fee and you take 3%? I said, definitely. And I'll stay away from the transaction. I don't want nothing to do with them. Just pay me for my time and my gas and my tolls.
Yeah.
Okay. My time. Forget about gas and tolls. I don't even count those. My time is more valuable than anything.
Next time in The Balanced Broker.
Black community, we're very relatable. 60% of my clientele is the Muslim community. The woman picks a real estate agent.
How did it start?
I trusted the process, honestly.